Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, such a surprising turn of events we had today. We had the Moody's downgrade coming into today's open. All right, so right after the close that was announced, and you know, we would have expected that to cause a continued sell here. But as we can see, the market did end up closing out with that bullish engulfing candlestick. And I'm just going to point out increasing volume bullish engulfing candlestick on QQQ. All right, so you know, this thing it held. Buyers held exactly where they needed to hold over here. So this was a daily open. And you know, the reason I had this marked is if we were to take it out, we're going to be underneath that 4-hour 21 EMA, and that's when this 4-hour time frame starts to roll over. It didn't happen. All right, guys, the market wants to continue being bought up. It did not happen. So what are we going to do? We're going to mark today's low here. And we're going to expect the market to drift a little bit higher here. I'm not saying it goes much higher. Don't get all bulled up on this, because I still think, you know, we're probably just going to do what we originally were talking about. Okay. You know, you drift a little higher. You're going to get a rug pull at some point just to come back down here. It's going to happen. All right. It doesn't have to happen. But if you are expecting it to happen, all right, you realize you're going to be ready for it when it finally does. You're not going to be caught lacking like I think a lot of people are once we drift a little bit higher here. And then you see that. I think we're probably going to get something like, you know, boom, a vicious little pullback, 1 to 2 day pullback when it finally does come. But before that happens, you know, right now we're still just drifting higher. Probably just going to consolidate for a few days and then it happens. So, you know, I'm just going to say, don't get too bulled up. Don't be open, you know, with size. Too many new positions up here. No financial advice will be given here on this channel. But, you know, if I was to do so, that's what I would be doing. So I'll speak on my behalf, okay? Don't be opening up too many, you know, full-size positions up here. Any new positions. I still do think we can see individual tickers continue popping off, you know, on those individual ticker setups. But as far as the indices go, I think we're just going to be drifting higher here. It's a straight up short squeeze until it's not. We will see on the lower time frames when this actually starts to roll over. And then we watch over here to see if the 4-hour starts to roll over. Until that happens, guys, we're going to expect you to just keep grinding higher. But we do have these 4-hour bearish divergences just continuing to build out here. And I think that's going to continue being the case if we drift higher the next 1 to 2 trading sessions. At some point, these things are going to play out. We're going to see this 4-hour RSI come all the way back down under the 50 line. And then we're probably going to push back up and start doing it again. But right here, as you can see, we are, you know, we got a triple bearish divergence going on the 4-hour RSI. And typically when we see these things, they give us a little pullback. Doesn't mean they're not going to be bought up, guys. I'm telling you to get ready for the pullback so you could take advantage. I only want the best for you guys, okay? I only want the best. All right? I'm not telling you these things to scare you out of your longs here so you miss out on some of the rally. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you I think the market is going to drift a little bit higher, but right around the corner, somewhere at these upper levels, we're talking 59851, 60248, 60813. We don't know which one, but you're probably going to start pulling back. And I think it's going to be an aggressive manner with what this 4-hour RSI is really telling us. And that can also be seen here on the hourly RSI. That could be seen on QQQ's 4-hour and hourly RSI. We're just going to keep building out these divergences. Doesn't mean we can't go a little bit higher here in the short term, but it does mean it's going to happen. Now over here on VIX, guys, I have not moved this arrow since we drew it over here. I am not saying this thing is going to you know, really spike its butt off over here, but I'll tell you right now, if you take out this low and we didn't really get that much of a bounce over here on that one from the 4-hour RSI having a bullish divergence, then we're just going to print more bullish divergences here, and we have a big spike loading at some point. And that's why I say expect higher prices on the indices for the time being. But at some point in the short term, we're probably going to see markets start pulling back. So I don't think it's a reason to get all bulled up. I know, okay, they bought it. The bears had their chance. Okay, Henry, what are you talking about? Guys, I'm not telling you the end of the world is coming. I'm telling you, you're probably going to come back down to the 200 daily moving average, which, you know, it's not going to be a big move, but it's going to look like a big move. So I just need you guys to be ready for it if it comes. But for the time being, I do think we're going to drift higher. Okay, so as far as support and resistance goes over here on SPY, above 594.64, we're watching today's high, guys. Above today's high, 595.54, 598.51, 602.48, and then you have 608.13. I do not think we're going straight to all-time highs. I would not be expecting anything crazy like that. But, you know, honestly, this is a pretty crazy market. I just know it's a low volatility market. So if we're going to have a big move, it's probably going to be overnight. All right. I think we probably will get a gap up tomorrow. If you pull back into this range, expect it to be bought until proven otherwise. And if it takes out today's low, that's when you're going to be proven otherwise. And that's going to be at 588.10. So if you take out 588.10, then we're watching 582.84 and then 577.04, which has the 200 DMA right below. Coming over here to QQQ. All right. On the weekly chart, guys, you could very easily see how this can just expand. This weekly candle is not going to stay this narrow here. It's going to get wider, and it's probably going to be in the upward direction over here. But, you know, into the end of the week, let's see if we get a pullback. All right, let's see if we start seeing these things that just, you know, took the time to talk about. Let's see if we start seeing them play out. And at that point, you know, I still think it makes sense to come, maybe not all the way back down here, but, you know, just give us a little pullback over here. I just think it's pretty obvious right now that the market's going to continue higher. And yeah, I mean, we just got that, you know, thing that shook the whole market. We saw how quick the whole market got shook. Guys, the thing, Donald Trump can just, you know, blow on the market right now, and the thing could, you know, have a pretty large pullback. Let's see if it happens, okay? But, you know, as of right now, guys, I'm just going to point out, look at this big volume that had happened on this rally. This most recent leg of the rally, guys, it is heavily supported by volume right now. And, you know, over here, this little, you know, rally right there, declining volume, okay? You had pretty low volume as you pushed up into new all-time highs. Look at this, okay? You see the selling volume increased here. Okay, we're not talking anything crazy like that. We did get buyers stepping over here with massive volume at the bottom. And now we're actually in the follow through to this rally above the 200 with actual volume. I think it's as stupid as long-term investors are just programmed to buy over the 200 DMA. And that's why we had volume increase afterwards. That's what I'm thinking. Because in reality, we should have less volume, less volatility, because VIX was lower on these days than over here, okay? So I think it literally is just long-term investors backing the move by buying over the 200 DMA. But as far as upside goes over here on QQQ, guys, we're talking 521.95. Then we're watching today's high. You know, really, we're going to take this level off right now. You're just going to watch today's high at 522.53, okay? Above 522.53, we're talking 525.71, 527.92, and 532.10. I do not think you're going to push straight to all-time highs, but let's just all acknowledge that you are only 4% away from new all-time highs. It's 3.5%. You know, if you get a 1% gap up out of nowhere going into tomorrow, you're that much closer to it. Things are, they're looking up for the bulls over here. But again, I'm just going to take the time to remind you guys of what I mentioned. This thing at some point gives us a pullback. Just make sure you have the dry powder and make sure you're not, you know, killing yourself over how much you're down when the thing actually pulls back. Okay, don't put yourself in that scenario. Okay, you know, no financial advice will be given here on this channel, but I will gladly, you know, try and help people with where we're at in the market as we're going through things and reading price action. I'm telling you, it's just not a time to really be, you know, putting on mass amounts of risk. Now, if you pull back into these 200s, guys, now we're talking, baby. Now we're talking. Like I said, individual tickers, I think they're going to continue rallying. So I do think after we get done over here, I'm going to show you some charts that you guys are going to like for the bulls. All right. But on the downside, you're just going to be watching today's low at 514.24. You take that out, you're taking out the 4-hour 21 EMA. All right. So this morning we were watching over here. Okay. You couldn't take out that low, but once you took out once you started pushing back up, you know, now the new level to watch, it's going to be today's low. You take out today's low, guess what? Today is a bull trap. We're getting that pullback. But again, big volume over here, okay? So QQ upside, 522.53, 525.71, 527.92, and 532.10. On the downside, we're talking today's low at 514.24. If you break under there, we're watching 510.15, the 507.89 gap, and then we have gap support at 501.48. Now, if we pull back, I don't think QQ gets all the way back down here. I think it's very likely that SPY we'll get down to the 200 since it's closer there, and then we will find buyers off that. But that is a recipe for QQ not making it down there, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, I'm just going to take the time to talk about IWM here. This looks like a bull flag. This looks like it's literally just ranging out here before popping up. So, you know, we're watching Friday's high here, 210.13. Get above 210.13, and yeah, you're probably going to see that 200 DMA sitting above at 216 right now. That's going to act as your magnet. Okay, so that's your watching over there in IWM. Now, let's just quickly run through the Mag 7 stocks, guys. NVIDIA does not look like it wants to give us this pullback. I will just point out declining volume here while you're consolidating. Let's see if volume picks back up like it did over here on these 2 days of spikes. Let's see if it happens, okay? This could very easily just pop up above 136.35, Friday's high, and head higher to 140 plus. I don't think there's a reason to be just shorting this market blindly right now. I know that's probably what, you know, a lot of people are wanting to do, but at the end of the day, the market's probably not just going to fall off a cliff all in one day without a very bearish catalyst. We just had a very bearish catalyst and nothing seemed to have happened. I'm not telling you to get all bowled up. I'm telling you to do the opposite. But I'm also telling you don't get too excited on the short side because you have nothing suggesting that sellers are really going to be taking you down for the time being. Every chart that I can look at over here in the Mag 7 stocks, they all got supported where they really needed to, okay? 4 out of 21 EMAs held. You know, everything looks like it's just flagging here in the 4-hour time frame before going higher. You know, you have a 5-day range going, or a 4-day range going on here. What happens if you break above that? You get an equivalent move to the range. That's $4. That brings you to 140. Like, you're going higher. At that point, you're above the 0.786. You're probably heading up to 143.44. At that point, I hope earnings absolutely tanks you back down here and we get the chance to buy the 200. It'll be great. Post earnings without juiced up premiums. I would love it. All right, moving on to the next Mag 7 stonk. All right, what happened on Apple? You held right where you had to hold, 203.51. You did not break underneath there this morning. Okay, you got bought up right around there. I'll just point out 15-minute RSIs, because if you are coming into the open here and you start flushing, please do not be chasing a short if you have the 15-minute RSI giving you a bullish divergence down there. It's the same as, you know, when I'm talking about these bearish divergences. That is when you don't want to be, you know, pushing things. That's when you look for either a pullback or a reversal, and then you can take your action off of that. But, you know, that is how every chart I was looking at this morning was setting up. But yeah, Apple, guys, it closed out with a hammer candlestick. I know, pin bar, hammer, bullish candlestick. It's got a lower wick. Whatever you want to call it, it's that. I'll call it a hammer. I still think it makes more sense to push up above 214.56 here. And at that point, I think you're going to hit 220. And then maybe you can continue higher up to 226 where your 200 is. But, you know, I'm just highlighting the closes today, okay? I'm just highlighting that nothing, like, we looked so bullish on Friday. We got the most bearish news possible over the weekend. There's absolutely no Black Monday to be seen in sight, okay? And now you have a bullish engulfing candlestick. We're above Friday's high somehow, even though we're down 1.5% into the close of the after-hour session on Friday. Doesn't really make too much sense to me, okay? But in reality, everything still looks bullish and it looks like it's going to continue. So it's probably about to continue. I don't think we're going to get a rug pull. We need really negative news to have that happen, or we're going to see price just do this, consolidate for a few days, and then start to break down. It's not just going to fall off a cliff, though. I'm telling you. Tesla over here. Does this look, bullish to you? Yes. Does it look bearish? Please say no. All right. You have declining volume here in this consolidation. I pointed out, to my group over here today that, it's no longer in this impulsive move, guys. It's just not having the impulsive move. Typically, we will not see this where we, have a high, make a higher low and pop up to a new higher high and then take out that low. I mean, this is, it could be consolidating here for all I know. I don't really know. But I'll just tell you right now, I'm bullish biased over here on Tesla. You have declining volume here. I want to see it pop up above 350 and I want to see that daily candle closes volume. I think you head to 385 pretty quick. But I'm just highlighting the closes. Bullish. All right. GOOG, close out at the high. Bullish. Microsoft, close out the high. You started grinding higher, and now you're, actually getting the impulsive move up. Bullish, close out the high. Meta, closed out near the high. You had a bullish engulfing candlestick off of the hammer candlestick you printed on Friday. The dip got bought, ladies and gents. It got bought. And now you have just a bunch of these little, bull flag kind of looks. These look bullish to me on the 4-hour time frames. All right. Or 4-hour charts, I should say. Amazon. I was really hoping you came down to the 200. You didn't get it. All right. You got bought up slightly above it. Again, this is something that's probably going to snap back. I just don't see us fading these moves. SMH. Close down a bullish manner. TSM, does that look bearish to you? It looks so good. AVGO, doesn't look all that bad. INTC, a piece of crap. SMCI, let's see if we get a gap up into these highs tomorrow. And then if you push past 47.80, I think that's when we can actually have that second week move here and get another one of those going. But I will just point out, this move compared to over here, you had a gap up. That move where you had another big move, you had a gap up. This move right here to start off the week, you had a gap up. This, last third week over here, guess what? It started with a big gap up. So just something to point out. All right. You don't have a gap up right now. So limit your expectations on SMCI. Okay, guys. Now I'll just point out some charts that I'm paying attention to right now, some trade ideas, some things I think are going to get, some continuation going here. First one first, Hood, guys. Hood, I'm thinking new all-time highs tomorrow. That is personally what I'm thinking over here. We got the impulsive move on the breakout over here. Well, now it's time to run it back. Okay, guys. So, this thing has been consolidating over here. We knew the weekly chart was suggested we were probably going to make it up to the highs over the next 1 to 2 weeks. I was hoping to see the pullback, but I don't think that's going to come. All right. We closed out with a bullish engulfing candlestick. And, the last one I'm going to point to that we had print just like that is right over here. You opened underneath Friday's low and you closed well above the pivot high there. Okay, 63.78. This thing is likely heading to 66.91 plus in the short term, and I imagine it's probably going to push that $70 psych level before really pulling back. All right, so Hood, keep it on your radar. Rivian, we talked about it. All right, and now it's happening. Broke out from the trend line, had the weekly close above that last week. Well, now it is pushing up all the way up to 1665, guys, all in one day. All right, all one. Oh, hi, little bit, buddy. My cat, my Milo, sitting on my foot. Distracted me, little guy. Distracted me. All right. But take out 1665, guys. And this thing's probably going to start pushing up to 1886. This is a big turnaround story. This is a base that took like 2 years to build out here, from over here all the way up to here, 1.5 years. But we haven't had something that's taken this long to build out in this chart yet. So I think this is probably the bottoming. This is the base happening right here. I think we're about to see a really big push up. Above 1665, I think we could see that move. Above 1886, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. But yeah, I think impulsive move regardless. I think it's either going to happen around the corner or we're just going to keep seeing this trend going where all these little pullbacks get bought. Either way, it's tradable and you can take advantage of it. RKLB, this is one I gave you guys before the breakout over here. And then we got the breakout and told you about it on the retest. And yeah. And now it just keeps getting these dips being bought. And now we closed out with a massive bullish engulfing candlestick. I think we're probably going to be continuing higher up to this 26.45 to 27.25 zone in the short term. All right. Next one we're talking is Walmart, guys. In the weekly update, we highlighted 95.81 and 93.58. Well, this morning you gapped down and you pushed 95.81. You got bought up exactly from there. The low of the day was at 95.80. Oh my God. Dude, levels, guys. It's sometimes they're picture perfect. You get the picture perfect reactions, guys. If you are not seeing solid reactions consistently off of your levels that you put on your chart, and I'm guessing your trading is, going all over the place, because if you're not, following the chart accurately, then it's really tough to trade it. Yeah, feel free to check out the link below. Come join the Discord. You can try it out for a month, but I will be live streaming every morning there. And I will also share, plenty of very valid levels as we go every single day for you. So you can kill this market, okay? But Walmart over here, guys, above 99.50. This thing is likely going to start pushing, 102.55. That's where the gap down happened from. And then all-time highs will be shortly after that. But, doesn't look all that bad to me. I don't know if you're going to pull back into this, but with how the market's looking, I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're probably just going to push past 99.50 and then start chugging along. All right, so that's Walmart. Oklo, I told you guys to watch on a pullback this week. You know, I know today was not what we thought. Okay, Monday, we didn't think it was going to be this massive day back up to Friday. Yeah, we didn't get much of a pullback over here, but I'll tell you right now, I think tomorrow it takes out 39.90 and heads to 43.70. Okay, but this is definitely something that you know, still has volume supporting it. Daily RSI is still hinged up. I think it's in this impulsive mode right over here, and I think it's not going to be long until we see probably 50 plus. All right, so that's Oklo. Last one I'm going to point out over here. Actually, before we go over that, CRWV, this is NVIDIA's largest holding. I'm just letting you know, whales are buying into this thing. You know, 2026, 2027 calls. This is probably going to be continuing. All right. But yeah, this is something I saw 2 large orders come in for today on. And it reminds me of ARM. I've called this ARM 2.0. I think I called it that on this channel. But definitely to my group over here, this is ARM 2.0. This thing reminds me of what it did over here. And then once we see this pull back over here, that's something we're going to be watching. Okay, so it's not something I'm telling you to long right now, because I don't think that's a good idea at all. I think it's a terrible idea. You know, you could do that, but the more times you do, you know, these bad reps here, it's just affecting your psychology, and you know, it's rewarding you for bad behavior. Let's look at it this way. You do that every time, you're going to lose money in the long run. I guarantee it. You'll probably lose money in the short term. All right. But what you do is you wait for a base. Okay. We know off of the bullish flow that's coming in, we know to start looking for that move at some point. We don't know when it's going to happen, but we will be looking for it, and we will try and take advantage of it. What is my look? Oh my gosh. All right, guys. But yeah, last ones, we're just talking MSTR over here, guys. If you can break above 415.36 tomorrow, I do think you're going to be pushing up to 430.35 in the short term. We're talking next 1 to 2 trading sessions. The May 30, 430 expirations, those will be going 60 to 70% from here if you make it up to 430. And at that point, I think you're going to push up 445 the next probably trading session after that. That's going to bring you well above 100%. And you're going to have a really good time. All right. We're talking 100, 150% if you could get up here. And I think that's where you're moving in the short term. I'll just point out on this run, you never tested the daily 21. You just kept pulling back to the cloud, and you kept getting bought up. You got close to it 3 times. You got 1, you got a 2, you got a 3. Well, this is number 1. I think you're going a lot higher over here in MSTR, and I think this is going to piss off a lot of people. But this looks like a massive inverse head and shoulders pattern to me. And this little pullback, maybe it's a little T-Rex right arm over here, or right shoulder. But yeah, I think we're probably going higher. All right, so keep it on the radar. Bitcoin got bought up today. It's probably going to continue pushing. All-time highs incoming. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Also, by the way, cost, it's finally getting that move. We talked about it. We talked about it extensively. And yeah, now it's pushing. The week before earnings, it is pushing, and it's looking nice, okay? But yeah, with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please remember to leave a like. I try and do my best for you guys. I only have, you know, the best in mind for you guys. I really try and, you know, support everyone for no cost to you. Okay, if you want to succeed in this market, you turn on the notification bell, you hit that notification bell, and you watch these videos every day. Sometimes they're 10-minute videos, sometimes they're 20, sometimes they're even 35-minute videos. Okay, but I promise, okay, if you come to these videos every single day, all right, you will know what you're looking for, and you will know constantly around the clock where the trades are at, where the setups are at, so you could take advantage. All right, you will know where the money is moving in the market. With that being said, ladies and gents, I appreciate y'all, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. If you want to come trade live with me, that'll be linked down below. Other than that, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.